So I think there's been a lot of noise that's been going on in society. So I think this conversation is fitting, is timely,
Yes.
because uh, I want to zoom in on Neo. You
Yes.
know, Neo,
Yes. Yes.
Neo recently been on a podcast,
Yes.
and we could kind of like talk about his opinion as it relates to gender identity and what he had to say. Because the thing is, he's a celebrity figure,
Right.
and if he's talking about it, chances are there's other celebrities that's talking about it.
Right.
Parents have almost forgotten what the role of a parent is.
Amen.
It's like, okay,
Lost control.
if your little boy comes to you and says, "Daddy, I want to be a girl," and you just let him rock with that,
Right.
he's 5.
Right. And where did he get that
If
from?
you let this 5-year-old boy decide to eat candy all day, he's gonna do that.
Exactly.
Like when did it become a good idea to let a 5-year-old, let a 6-year-old, let a 12-year-old make a life-changing decision for themselves?
Right.
When did that happen?
Right.
Like I don't understand that. I don't get that.
And to medicate these young kids that are 5, 6, growing up and knowing that it affects their brain, it affects their organs, it makes them sick, but they're not allowed to do drugs, they're not allowed to do alcohol.
Right.
But we can medicate
He
them
can't
up.
drive a car yet, but he can decide his sex.
Right, right. What sexual orientation, and he can cut off his pee-pee, and that, to me, that makes no sense
And
whatsoever.
I don't know if this is true, but I heard a rumor that they either passed or are trying to pass a law in LA that states if your child comes to you and asks to do some of these things and you say no, they could take your kid from you.
Yeah, that's true. Just passed in California.
That makes no sense.
They want us to have no control over our children
I don't get it.
in schools,
I don't get it.
hospitals, libraries.
Yeah.
They just want to manipulate. You got to understand when they're so young and they're already that's
Impressionable.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And from them, they're going to believe what you say. I mean,
Yeah.
we say Santa Claus is real. You know, the
And they
Easter Bunny.
believe it, like,
right?
come on.
Exactly.
Like, you gotta
they know what they're doing.
Remember who you're dealing with. Like I can't take credit for it, but I heard somebody say one time, he's like, all right, if your son comes to you and says, "Daddy, I want to be a girl," ask your son, what is a girl?
That's a good one.
What is he gonna do? He's gonna say, well, he might want to play with dolls. All right, you want to play with dolls? Fine, play with dolls.
Right.
But you're a boy
right.
playing with dolls.
That's
I want
right.
to wear pink. All right, cool, wear pink. But you're a boy
That's right.
wearing pink. No issue with the LBGT. I have no problem with with nobody. Okay,
Right.
love who you love, do what you do.
Exactly.
I just personally come from an era where a man was a man and a woman was a woman, and it wasn't but two genders, and that's just how I rocked.
Me
now,
too.
you could identify as a goldfish if you feel like.
Right.
I don't care.
agree.
That ain't my business. It becomes my business when you try to make me play the game with you. I'm not finna call you a
Right.
goldfish, but
Exactly.
you want to be a goldfish, you go be a goldfish. It's all good.
Amen.
I mean,
Well said.
it's just, we live in a weird time, man. We do.
do. And
Trigger
let's go to the
warnings.
hat-
What the
Right.
hell is a trigger warning?
Yes, exactly.
It's just when I
It
just
is
don't know
weird
when
times.
the world became so sensitive. Like comedians can't tell jokes no more.
No.
Like, everybody's offended. It's a joke. It's
Right.
a comedian.
Right.
It's a joke. You're not supposed to take it serious. It's a joke.
Right.
His literal job is to joke. And you
About
want-
everyone.
About everyone
Right.
and everything. And people want to get offended and like, don't say that. That's triggering. Oh my God. You know what?
Yeah.
Sit in your house
So,
by yourself.
couple things. Number one, it really shows how far gone we, and when I say we, I'm talking about we as a society, the world, how far left we have gone, how wrong we are with this. So much so to the point where what he's saying should not be, that should be the norm. That shouldn't be like we're kind of looking at him and rightfully so, we're giving him his kudos and everything. And we're like, oh, that's brave. But what he's saying is common sense. This is not like something that is, coming from up top from the heavens, and just falling down on somebody's head and they're speaking, like wisdom and like wisdom that we've never heard. These are situations and experiences, we have, just as normal people, as parents. I can remember when my boy, was young and he's just now starting to walk and whatever the case is, he would be attracted to, like, say, the color red. My wife has red high heels.
Yeah.
And so he run to the high heels because it's red and it looks, vibrant and bright or whatever. And he's like, ooh. And then, quite naturally, me as a father, no, son, those are mommy's shoes.
Yep.
Those are shoes that belong to girls. They're high heels. And these are things that I had to teach him. You get what I'm saying? He
Right.
doesn't know at that point. And so the more consistent I was with that, he would be like, okay, daddy, the next time he see those shoes, he's like, daddy, those are mommy's shoes. Those are shoes for girls.
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's right, son.
Right.
And so, you know, we as parents, you know, I think that's one of the things that Neo would allude to. He's like, you know, we kind of lost our way as parents.
Yeah.
You know, we're in a situation or in a society where the kids dictate how things are going to be and how they if they feel a certain way, they express their desires. The parents just want to run to that desire and just fulfill that desire. And it's like, no, teach them, guide them. That's your responsibility.
Yeah.
And so for him to take that stance though, as a celebrity, especially in a world like you alluded to before, cancel culture, I appreciate his bravery so much so to the point where he said, you know, maybe this isn't a world where we need a Neo,
Yeah.
if that's the case. And I appreciate that because, you know, there's a situation, I guess his publicist came out with an apology
Yeah.
for what he said.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, you know, everybody's kind of like, you know, we know that's made up. Like, you know, like, come on, I'm going to educate myself on this. I'm like, what do you need to educate yourself on, really? There are two genders. And,
Right.
and listen, we don't mean to, let us go ahead and pause and say, hey, we're not trying to bash anybody. But I mean, when we get to the point to where we can't respect truth and fact and objectivity, then I mean we're at a dangerous place. We can't even have a conversation, a legitimate conversation. There are two genders. Two. And I'm not lost. I'm just saying it and I want that to sink in.
Yeah.
There are two genders. But I mean we'll get there eventually with the you know, the impact on religion and the church, because we're gonna call some scriptures into play here. And we want to see what God has to say with regards to this.
Yeah, I want to add on to what Neil said. Also, I know I mentioned some of the things earlier, but quote unquote, Neil said parents forgot the role of parenting.
Yes, sir.
And if you, like you said, if you talk about science, the people that have these agendas and trying to post it on their children, they came from heterosexual parents. You know, there was a man and a woman.
Yes.
And voila, you exist. So that's why we do live in a world where things are upside down. And the reality is truth hurts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, truth is what gets you persecuted.
Mm-hmm.
Truth is what gets you killed. Right. Truth is what gets you canceled.
Mm-hmm.
So even Jesus in that day, Jesus Christ, when he was here on earth, he spoke so much truth. Right. That it ended up putting them on the cross, you know, because they was like saying, oh yeah, you're God, you blaspheming, this and that. And that even applies to even us, you know, when people are convicted, they know the truth, but it's a little degree of ignorance in a sense and pride, because you have to be humble enough to receive the truth.
Right.
And so when Neo is speaking truth, or just anyone that opposed to these individuals' agenda, there's a sense of conviction and there's a sense of pride. Like,
West Coast boys. Sauce. This feel like church. Since the days of 4 Christian stars, I knew this would work. Since Daryl, Monty, and Shane been putting in work. Now you just watching the throne while we take